How does a defense with little pass rush and a bottom tier pressure rate shut down offenses in the playoffs? You become a bit of a chameleon. If you looked at the Patriots regular season tape, you saw a team leaning into their man dominant corner duo with a cover two changeup. This is pretty standard for most teams that want to live in cover one. With little pressure from the front, Mike Vrabel and Zach Kerr forced quarterbacks to throw into tight windows in man-free coverage. But when they got into the playoffs, the defense flipped the script. They didn't blitz. They didn't play man. They put a cap on offenses and played nearly 6% split field coverage against the Texans, a massive 17% jump from their season average en route to 2 victories. Against the Chargers, that number still cleared the 50% mark. Against Houston, quarters was 25% of their coverage calls, up from over 9% during the season. New England forced Stroud to be patient and throw into tight windows on over 29% of his passes, going 2 for 14 on those throws. Stroud also threw 4 interceptions. Simply, the plan worked. But now they are facing the Denver Broncos, albeit with a backup, which is a team that lives for the checkdown and ranks top 10 in the efficiency against these exact looks. I'm breaking down the Patriots quarters package versus the Texans to get a feel for how the AFC Championship game will play out and reveal a matchup that might tilt the AFC crown. Let's dive into the tape. Against the Chargers, the Patriots got a few looks that they'll probably see from the Broncos. This is a bunch perimeter screen, which the Broncos are one of the best teams at running screens. They love a perimeter screen, especially to Marvin Mims, who they can sit in any of these spots on the backside and then run screens. We're going to see essentially a bubble screen out of this. You're going to see the number one receiver here. So imagine this is Mims. He's going to bubble. We're going to get this cross block action. We have our nice quads look, but because it's a kind of a flop read, they're going to run. This linebacker has to fill that open B gap. So that's where the conflict is. The Chargers feel like they have pretty much have man blocking. They feel like they can get it. This is a good example, though, of showing how the Patriots are going to have to be really good at screen destruction. This is a really good example of that. This is a 3-yard gain. So again, it's just as good as like a 3-yard run. This is an extension of the run game for the Chargers, as will be for the Broncos. We see the safety run this down. So this is something to look at, but this is also showing you how quarters is going to work against it. We have a 2-back look from the Texans. Notice how this receiver is on the ball. This is going to be our vertical threat receiver. They're going to bring in number 2, and they're going to run Y cross. So we get the cross, and remember I said number 2 is on the ball. That's going to be our vertical stem. But then we're also going to get a post route on the backside. This is a good example of offenses, when they see quarters, what are they going to try and do? They're going to try and split the safety in their corner. They're going to try and buy the backside safety down on this crossing route, and then they're going to try and get at post alert shot. So the Texans, again, are going to motion their guy in. He's going to get into a stack. You can see that these guys are communicating. We have a really nice triangle over here. We have our single receiver. We have our linebacker who's going to be in charge of the back if he were to go out. And we have our bracket system on the X. So think of this as Cortland Sutton in this sense. At the snap of the ball, we're going to get our Y cross. You can see that we get our slot attacking the over and opposite to the hash. You can see that we're working out, and then we're going to snap back in. So this is pushing that corner, seeing if this DB will sit. This safety right here is doing a good job of opening up to the hash, but keeping his vision cone opposite. He can feel this guy behind him. He knows that the corner is going to cap. So anything vertical, he will be on top. All he has to do is, if this post ends up hitting, is if this corner needs to stay on top, all he has to do is then run underneath of it. So that's creating that vice there that we'd like to see. So as we go through this play, you can see that Stroud is looking for this crossing route. We get a really good job by the Mike linebacker of getting depth. The nickel can now come off. You can see the Mike is on top of this route. That essentially kills the route, and that forces the safety to not have to nail down it. That's the key in quarters, is if my low man can win, which he does here, then my safety can play high. I call it naked or clothed. This is a clothed receiver. That linebacker is on top of him. He is not naked, which means that safety can stay in the deep part of the field. You can see as Stroud keeps going, yes, he's going to end up nailing it down as he beats this linebacker, but look what we have on the opposite. And this is why I like quarters, is because you can layer the middle of the field. So here, the corner has bought this outside receiver. You are seeing the safety go to close the post. Our corner is now going to get in trail. So even though it looks like he's open, we have a corner on the front side. Let's go back to the beginning and kind of explain this. Anytime we get an outside stem like this safety is going to pack the hash, thinking that he's going to work back inside or that he's going to convert this thing into a post. If this thing were to snap outside, that corner is going to take it. So he now knows, because I get this outside stem, and we get this separation. Notice how we get this nice V action here. I have to expect that he's going to work back inside and that this crossing route is now going to be taken by this safety on the other side. Now, the depth of that safety is determined by the Mike linebacker, which I just explained. So as this play progresses, you can see as Stroud steps up, he sees that there's a dig right here. He's looking at the over route. It's not there. He looks to the post. It's not there. By the time he snaps back, he sees that this corner is really baiting him into this throw to come back inside. So what does he do? He steps up. Now, the cardinal sin here is this nickel is holding leverage. He forgets to stack over that tight end. And so you end up getting a big play. But this is a good example of how the Patriots quarters functions right here. You just wish that the nickel would have been a little bit in closer proximity to the check down. One of the game plan checks that the Patriots had is that any time that they would get some sort of a nub tight end or they would get any kind of a 3-by-1, they would drop the weak side safety down near the box. Now here, we're going to get a motion to 2-by-2. And what that's going to do is have this safety check back to quarters. 24 will work over here. You will see the communication. And now we're going to check into quarters. So you can see at the beginning of the play, we're going to get Kirk work across. It creates a 2-by-2. And you can see here, as this is coming, you can see these guys are all communicating. They're all getting in it. You can see here, they're communicating here. 7 and 24 are communicating. You can see 21 in his corner are communicating as well. At the snap of the ball, what are we going to get? We're going to get a beautiful look at quarters. Notice how we have a nice box structure here. That's classic quarters look. Notice how we have a triangle over here. That's palms, or that's going to be quarters on the back side of this. We get what I call a divide route. So really all we're doing is attacking the thirds of the field. As Stroud works to his point, you can see that we have our classic quarters look. Our corner is capping the outside vertical. We've got the vertical route attacking the middle. That's going straight to our quarter safety, who is now deep. We have our Mike linebacker, who is getting vertical. So we have that nice vice. As this running back works out, our nickel is going to work out with it. That will also cover the intermediate and the comeback throw here. You can see that we get an out route. We're probably going to get some sort of an angle. You can see the linebackers playing that. The safety here, essentially, because we get that out route by one, hinges back inside, gets his vision on the quarterback. And this is how you can close the post or become a poach player when you don't have anybody. So when one goes outside, our check down, I'm not worried about it because the linebacker is going to take it. What can I do? I can then work into the middle of the field. And what that really does is if anything were to bleed out at the intermediate, I can nail down on that. And that, again, that gives me that layering process. I can have a high safety and I can have a low safety, and then I can have a low intermediate in that linebacker. And that stack in the middle of the field is why you can compress this middle of the field. Remember, a quarterback's best friend is any throw in the intermediate right in front of them. Any time that the ball goes outside and it goes deep, that is going to bring the percentage of that pass completion rate down. So you want to be able to throw it to the middle field. What's a great coverage to kind of pack the middle of the field? Quarters. That's exactly what we see here. You can see that we have a nice stunt. So this is something else to keep an eye on. Even though we're not talking about quarters, I tell you what, the Patriots love a nice tech stunt. This is exactly what we get here, and it hits home. They're really good at it. They're one of the best in the NFL at it. This hits home. It gets Stroud off of his pocket. He has to end up just throwing to the running back and throwing it away. So again, this is quarters against a divide scheme. You can see it right here. He has nowhere to go. We kind of get this up and out and then kind of a sit back down really deep. Stroud has nowhere to go and has to bail. Here we have an 11 personnel spread set. Notice too how we're going to go field boundary with this. In the NFL, we're starting to see this a lot more. So the nickel is always going to go to the quote unquote field. Yes, I know everything's really narrow in the hash, but the way that defenses like to set this up, they like to have a field side and a boundary side. Your will linebacker goes to the boundary. Your nickel or star goes to the field. Watch how once this motion starts, you can see that these two safeties are communicating with each other. So what's probably communicating is, hey, I'm not poaching anymore. So you don't have regular quarters. You don't need to just rail it and stay on your path. You can stay high. I'm just not probably going to poach anymore. Now we're going to true split field as this comes. We're going to see the corner. We're going to see the safety. And then, hey, we need to work independently because we have two receivers on the other side. So this is nice communication. You can see here that they both kind of wave off. And then you can see he kind of gives that signal here to 7, like, hey, check. Usually this means we're going to go palms because it's going to create a stack. So here you can see Stroud works back and all we're going to get is a snag. Now, the thing about the snag concept here is that they're really looking for, does the linebacker stay inside? What is the depth of the corner? If the corner bails out like it's regular quarters, I'm going to the flat all day. If the linebacker shoots outside really quickly, then I know I have two DBs that are deep and I have this nice little pocket in this middle area because he's vacated. All I got to do is throw it right there. And that's exactly how snag works. You can see at the snap of the ball, Stroud's just looking, is there any kind of safety rotation? There's not. He sees that the linebacker is working out, but he's noticed that the linebacker is hanging in that snag area. He doesn't want to throw the snag right here, but you can tell that the corner is already seeing that the shoulder angle and the ball is primed to get this. And now we're going to run palms instead of quarters. Palms is just an adjustment in a lot of quarter systems. It just means to read. It means the safety is going to stay high and the corner is going to take the flat if 2 goes out really quick. That's exactly what happens because look, you have the linebacker sit right on that snag. So he moves to make it look like it's quarters, and then he's going to stop right in that snag area. He's going to force the flat throw. Our corner does a good job of snapping down, and he's going to end up making this tackle. This is, again, another concept that you could easily see the Broncos and running. And then look, this is 1st and 10. He gets 1 yard. Now it's 2nd and 9. Here's the deal. The Patriots wants to force you to be patient, and the Broncos are the most patient team in the NFL. In the wild card and divisional rounds, Mike Vrabel transformed his defense into an open post unit, playing over 55% split safety coverage to cap C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert. But that strategy might be a trap against Denver. Sean Payton is willing to nickel and dime you into submission. If New England decides to go back to the regular season defense, the Broncos will have answers. They were 6th in EPA per play against cover 1. And this is what makes this game so much fun. The chess match each week as the stakes rise. Is Vrabel going to dare Jared Stidham to play quarterback, or is he going to go back to his ways, clamp down on everybody, and dare Sean Payton to throw the deep ball with a backup quarterback?